Hi, everybody. My name is Melanie Baeza-McCrae, and I am an Employer Engagement Coordinator here at Mesa College. I work closely with our work-based learning program and career services on campus. So today I'm going to go over how to engage online with Zoom. So we'll go ahead and get started. So quickly, basics: you need a computer, you need internet, not only a computer, but any device, your phone, a laptop, something that you can use to access the meeting. Most meetings that are created will have an ID number that you will use to log in and a URL. Some meetings may have a password. So depending on maybe your class, your professor may offer a password that you would then copy and paste into the meeting. You need your speaker and a headset or earbuds if you're participating with a laptop, especially. So let's talk a bit about accessibility. Zoom has a lot of features for accessibility, which is why it's a really popular platform for online and virtual classrooms and meetings. The first feature is closed captioning. You can utilize closed captioning with Zoom. So that means every word that's being spoken is being captured. And there are apps that you can use that will then create the captioning for you. So to do that, you would go into the toolbar, which I'll show you later, and click on the captioning icon, and that will get that started. If you are using your keyboard and have keyboard accessibility, Zoom supports any shortcuts for easy navigation and Zoom features. So you can check out Zoom's help link for more on that. The other cool thing is Zoom will facilitate an automatic transcript of your meeting that has taken place. And I think that for online classes, this is really cool. So when a professor or instructor records their lecture or class, with the automatic transcripts, you're able to, when you go back and review the video, you can see the transcript on the side of your screen, and you can click on any of the points in that discussion. And if you click on it, it takes you right to that point in the video. So if it was like minute 23 in 5 minutes, it would take you there. So you don't have to like either watch the whole thing or scroll through. So this would be really useful when you're studying or when you forgot something on your notes and you need to go back and check. The screen reader support. So if you don't have a screen or you're not able to join your meeting with a device that has a screen, they do have accessibility standards to ensure that it's fully accessible. So screen readers is an accessibility tool for certain people, but I just wanted to throw in also, you can attend Zoom meetings on the phone without being on screen. So you can dial in a number, which every Zoom link has that provided for you as well. So let's talk about personalization. So when you are on Zoom, you have the option to have a profile picture displayed when you don't have your video on live. So if I'm going to see if this works, but if I stop my video, if I was in a meeting, it should show profile picture that I saved. The other option, if you don't have a profile picture, is it will usually show up as a black box with your name, which that's kind of tough and a little bit lame on the instructor side when they just see a bunch of black boxes. Here's an example of an icon. Someone has a dog. And whoops. Here's an example of what it would look like, you know, what I'm showing you face to face. The other thing you can do is put a background in. If you go into backgrounds, or if you go into the video icon in Zoom and you click on backgrounds, that's where you can edit your backgrounds. So what's behind you, you can upload photos if you wanted to put in a particular photo. Zoom provides some basic backgrounds as well. So I have a background for my Zoom presentation right now. And if I were to close that, you would just see what's actually behind me. So it's really up to you. Sometimes people choose to put a background in if you know you're going to have a lot of distractions going on behind you, people walking back and forth. That's a good time to use your virtual background. A lot of us have multiple people in our spaces, so sometimes it's unpredictable. Okay, so moving on, let's talk about the Zoom menu bar. So this appears at the bottom of your Zoom window when your meeting begins. This is to help you engage and interact in a meeting. It does disappear after a few seconds, so if you move your mouse around, it will come up. So I'm gonna go over each icon. So number one is the mute button. So that's pretty self-explanatory. If you hit the mute button, you're muted and no one can hear anything coming from your end, your microphone. It's not gonna mute other people, it's just muting you. This is where you can, if you wanted to change this or change it, the functions, you go to the little arrow icon that's right next to the mute button. So if you want to start and stop your video, you just select the stop video function. Zoom allows you to invite people into the meeting. You can invite them by email. It would send them a message with the link. You can send it through IM or a meeting ID. So if you're in a class or you're registered for a particular class, you may want to check with the instructor first because the meeting may be private, meaning only for students who are registered and paid for the class, but it is something that Zoom has as a feature. Number 4 is the participants icon. You click on this and it shows you all the participants that are in the meeting. And then that window will pop up where you can see everyone in a box. Zoom allows you to change functions where only the person who's talking video will pop up, or you can see everyone who is in your presentation. And usually instructors will use this feature to see who's there, who's in the class. So number 5 is sharing screen. Your professors or people who are doing any presentation on their computer most likely are using this feature. I'm actually using this feature currently. So I'm sharing with you my screen for my Google slide presentation. So if you hit share screen, it will bring up a page where you can click on the specific screen you want to share. So you can either share everything that's on your desktop. That means that if you are clicking between windows on your desktop, the participants in that meeting can also see that. If you only want people to see one screen, for example, if I just want you to see my PowerPoint slide, then I will make sure that I click on share screen and I click on the PowerPoint slide. So this is important if you are sharing and you, for privacy, you don't want maybe people to see what's in your email or maybe other screens that you've been looking at. You would just make sure not to share your entire display. If you want to send messages to one person or to all participants, that would be number 6, the chat icon. So if you use this, just remember, if you're hitting everyone, whatever you type goes to everyone who's participating, or you can select a specific person to talk to. So if you have permission or if it's your own meeting, you can record, and that's what I'm currently doing. So you simply hit the record button and it will start recording your meeting. If you're ready to leave or end your meeting, you would just hit number 8, which is the leave meeting button. A little more on the chat box. So here's an example of what it looks like. This one is to everyone. So you type something in, it shows up. And if you wanted to send it to just the professor or specific people, when you click on that everyone button, there should be a drop down that will show everyone else who's participating in the meeting, and you can click on a person's name and chat with that person. There's other icons that you can use so that you can engage in class. There's the raise hand feature, which a lot of professors may ask you to use. So just like in a regular class, you can raise your hand and keep it raised until your professor calls on you. There's also these emoji icons that you can click on. These are nice to show that you are engaged and maybe you're agreeing with something or showing that you're still alive, especially when you have your mute button on and your stop video button. It's hard to tell when you're a presenter who's actually listening. So especially in the classroom setting, it's a good idea to utilize these functions. So some really quick tips on successful Zoom learning. First thing is find a quiet location to join your session. This can be quite hard, I understand, when you might be living with other people or in a small space. So really just find a corner of the bedroom. Sometimes if your Wi-Fi reaches outside on your patio, just somewhere where it can be quiet and with less interruptions to help. Just make sure your Wi-Fi signal is available. When you are signing in, it's best to sign in with your full name. So as you can see on my screen, my full name is listed, but if you don't list anything, sometimes a default sign-in name comes up, and that can be really difficult for the presenter or your instructor to know that it's you. So that's just a tip. As with any meeting that you might be joining in college, you want to show up a few minutes early so that you can check your Wi-Fi connection, your audio, video connections, and check on any updates that might have popped up from your professor or classmates before you get started. Use a headset or earbuds instead of your speakers. This is helpful when you are listening to a lecture or engaging in a class. It's just better sound and also helps with your distraction. This is a big one. A lot of people forget this. Mute your audio unless you are speaking or you're waiting to speak to prevent any unintentional background noise. So this happens a lot. I've been in meetings where there's a lawnmower going on in the background, or I have children in the house, so they're making a lot of noise in the other bedroom. So if I'm not speaking, I mute myself so that there's no distracting or disruptive noise going on in the background. If you are speaking and your video is on, it's a good idea to speak into the camera of your device and not the screen. I'm actually not doing a good job on showing you how to do this because I've been speaking to my screen, but I'm doing it right now. I'm looking at the camera. So this might be really helpful if you're doing an interview or maybe like a one-on-one with your instructor or a classmate, to just give it more of that human interaction, human connection type of feel. So it is a tip, and I think if anything, definitely in an interview would be a good idea. So what these bullet points are really saying is just be respectful when you're in a Zoom session in class, like you would in any class. Facial expressions, body language, if your video is enabled or it's turned on, people can see that. Your instructor can see that. So just be mindful. If you do need to step away or, I don't know, pick your nose or something that you're going to do and you don't want others to see, you can turn your video off. So just be mindful of the functions. And if you can, if at all possible, try to have your video on so that your instructor or the presenter can see that you're there. It makes for a much easier presentation and flow when the person on the other end can see people actually there and listening to them. Your instructor will probably provide you additional guidelines for their Zoom class. So that's something that when class started, probably was mentioned by the instructor. So just make sure you're being mindful of what those are because each instructor can be different. And like I said, just the same etiquette or behavior that you would use in class in person, try to use it when you are on Zoom as well. One thing I didn't mention is a lot of times the Zoom presentations are recorded so that students can access them later. So just be mindful of that. So if you are typing something in the chat box, those the chat transcriptions usually saved, the meeting's being recorded, anything that you say or even body language, things that you're doing can be recorded. So just be mindful of that as well. All right, so that's the end of this presentation. Thank you for listening. If you want to learn more about skills for college, check out Pavel. He's one of my colleagues and he's our internship coordinator. He has a clip on adaptability and digital fluency in school and beyond your career. So make sure you check out his video clip. A lot of good information and advice on those topics. So have a great one. Thanks.